We are live. Welcome, everybody. Hello, hello. Hello, beautiful Mrs. Superfly. How are you doing?
Hello, Mr. Superfly.
Oh, yes. The dream team, Mr. and Mrs. Superfly.
Yeah,
To whom I wish I cannot do this without.
yeah.
Hello there, all my beautiful fans out there, all my friends, all my fellow. Hey, R2G. What's up, brother? R2G's in the house.
Hi, R2T.
What's up, R2G? My buddy. Oh, I got to take that logo off.
Yeah.
So, R2G, if you didn't know, whenever you see that little logo of me flash up in the corner where it says Jody's Flybox Time, if you write I want a Jody's Flybox, every time you see that, I'll put your name. If you're the first name that says I want one in the chat, I will put your name in the draw. And when we get to 1,000 subscribers, you could be the guy who wins a Jody's Flybox. So, so if you see that, you just put your name in there, and that could win you some flies.
Mhm.
Yes, yes, it's going to be very cool. Very, very cool. I will be super happy. As you can see, I added this subscriber count button onto my chat, flashing up here in the top. So when you see that, um, that shows you how many subscribers I got. So we got a ways to go to 1,000 yet, but it's a good start. It's a good start. Every subscriber counts. So every single one of you matters, especially you, R2G. You're my brother. So yeah. So we're gonna tie some flies. Oh, by the way, this is a Jody's fly box right here. So I design these boxes myself, and I make them, and we already have some flies in them. So there's within the giant box, there's comes two little boxes. And last Sunday, we already started putting flies in the box. Let's see if I can get close to the camera. So these are the flies in the Jody's fly box. So every time I tie a fly into the box, it goes for sure. So, and there'll be two little boxes into this big box. And when we reach 1,000, I will mail it. I will draw a name and I will mail it out to you, beautiful people. And as you,
How long to keep the Flybox logo up?
oh, I'm going to take the Flybox logo down right now. Actually,
It's a quick thing.
it's a quick. It's a quick thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing is during my any live streams I do, if you see this logo in the corner with Grampy, and you're right in there, I want to shout out Gramp. If you're the first name, Grampy will shout you out.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends already have shout outs.
Yeah.
So anybody who's new to the channel, if you're looking for a shout out, you most certainly could get your name shouted out. Our our to release to the grease, he's already got a shout out for me. Bunch of people. Ted LaFontaine got a shout out for me. Paul Outdoors got a shout out. Bambi got a shout out. Solo's got a shout out. So all the cool people. And if you see their names up here scrolling under the subscriber count, those are all the people that are in the draw. So their name is already in the draw. So they will be they got one what do you call it? Ticket? One ticket in the draw.
Oh, okay.
So excellent. Excellent. So let's tie some flies. Let's get to tie in some flies. So I was going through my fly box, and I found this cool fly, and I really wanted to tie some of these. I haven't tied any of these. I think on one of my other lives I did tie one in orange. It was kind of similar, but it was just two body segments. But These ones with the 3 body segments, they work really well. They really have a great wiggle in the bottom. And I really, really like these. So I'm going to tie up one of these right now, I think.
What do you call them?
This is like a wiggle wrap, I guess
Okay.
we call it.
Okay.
It's just like a foam wiggle wrap.
Okay.
So I'm going to tie one of these up. We're going to stick one of these in the box. These are really, really great fly. So we're going to do that. So what we need is a tail hook. So we're going to start off with a tail hook, a little stinger hook. And I'm going to use, where's my hooks? Where's my hooks? Here's my hooks. I'm going to go into my hook, one of my hook boxes. How's your day going, R2G? So I'm going to get a little hook. For the tail, you don't need a super big hook. You're going to put just a little hook on the tail. So I'm going to start with this hook here. And I guess I should open up my fly tying tools because all my measuring tools and everything are in there. Didn't even open up my box. Horrible. All right, so I got my hook gauge out, and I am going to tie on a size 14 straight hook.
He said his day is. Or he said, oh, cool.
Yeah, he said, oh, cool. Don't mind that drilling. I live in an apartment building, and unfortunately, can't do anything about that.
Yeah, they repairs.
They do repairs and stuff, and we live on over the garbage room, so they do all kinds of funky noises. So see, when I bought these hooks, they have that little eye down, which I really don't care for. So I'm going to take my straight pliers and I'm just going to straighten that up. And depending on the type hook you have and how tempered it is, you can just gently straighten it. So whenever I can straighten it, I do. And if you're tying flies and you ever lose the eye on your hook, instead of throwing out your hook, you can just get a piece of Christmas ornament wire that you hang the Christmas ornaments on, and you could make a new eye. So if that ever happens, have no fear. And as a matter of fact, often I'll do that deliberately, because if I'm doing any kind of articulated flies, the eye of the, like, you can make a larger eye, which will make the metal wiggle about better. So I am going to be putting that on there. So I'm going to get my trusted clear nylon thread, which I tie most of my flies with. I'm going to attach it below the eye. So if you're watching today, whether you're watching right now in live or if you're going to watch later, by the way, thank you to everybody. We had 88 people watch my last live stream. So thank you.
Cool.
So thank you to everybody who watched my last live stream.
Yeah.
I super appreciate it. I know the Mrs. Superfly appreciates it. And you guys are amazing, and we appreciate you big time. But if you're watching now or later, and you haven't checked out Release to the Greases channel, my good buddy R2G, go check him out, because he's got a fantastic channel. And he also does a bit of fly tying and jig tying, and he also does plastic molds, like plastic jigs and stuff. And that's pretty interesting stuff when you start mixing those molds up and melting them up. So I've been really enjoying the journey of that with R2G. So if you haven't checked out R2G's channel, go check him out. Give him a subscribe, give him a like, give him a comment, and check out his channel, guys, because it's awesome. So I'm going to go into my feathers. I got this bin of feathers. And these are all my furs and feathers. Now, unfortunately, my red's not in there. Why is my red not in there? Because I'm a messy guy. When your time flies, you got materials all over. So here's my red feathers. And we're going to get one that's really got a nice bushy tail. And we'll just pick that out of there. And, oh, before I put this feather on, I'm going to do exactly what I explained I was going to do. I'm going to take some Christmas wire. So I got all these Christmas ornament wires. And these are really good because they really hold their shape well. They're strong, and that one doesn't want to come out. It just refuses to come out of there. But they're strong, and they seem to not rust in the water. At least these ones that I've got, which is really good because you don't want your flies rusting in the water. So these are really, really good for that. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to see the eye of the hook is very small, right? And it will fit in there, but it will really not move as freely because it's snug. Whereas if I use my looping pliers, and I'm going to make a loop in there, see how much wider that is than the eye of the hook. So this is going to be where I attach onto my next piece. So let me just cut that off. And articulated flies are always super, super cool. And once you tie this in, like it'll be solid because I'm going to add a little bit of crazy glue, and I'm just going to tie that right in front of where the eye of the hook is. And then that pretty much becomes now the eye of the hook.
So, honey, you said all those names are shout-outs you've done?
No. Well,
sorry, they're entered in the draw.
All those names that are flashing in the corner,
okay.
Those are all the people who are entered into the draw.
Okay, but I must tell you.
Yes, sweetheart.
It's underneath the subscriber count.
Yes.
So people might think that those are all the subscribers.
Well,
and they don't know that there are people entered in the draw.
Well, I'll just, you know what? Later on, I'll just have to move that. For today, they're just going to have to think that.
Okay. All right.
The beautiful Mrs. Superfly is always putting me correcting, making sure I do things correct.
Well, I mean, if I just tuned in, that's what I would think.
Yeah. So what I did is I wrapped my thread, and then I put a row of crazy glue down along the whole thing, and then I'm just going to add some more wraps while that just dries up. And then if I show you, I can take my pliers and I can give that a good tug, and that is not coming out of there. I mean, that is in there. So if you catch a big fish, that is not going to come loose on you. So, all right. So I'm happy with that. So now we'll go back to we'll start to build our fly up here. So we'll take our red feather. Now I don't like to waste, so see this part is really like short and scraggly. I can use that on another fly, but on this one, I want the longest tail I can. So I'm just going to break off that little bit. I'm going to put that back in the feather bag for another fly. And then here where it starts to get longer, this is the feathers I want here, these nice long feathers. And these are just feathers off of one of those feather boas, you know, the ones that the ladies wear at the costume parties. That's one of these. I got them for like $4 at the Dollarama. That's our local dollar store. But you can get them at like a party store and whatever. So we're gonna take our feather, and once we got it isolated like that, we're gonna attach it to the end of our fly. And because these flies are beefy, so they're pretty thick fly, we're gonna tie into that material. So you can snip it off if you want it even, but I'm just gonna add it for a little bit of extra if my thread doesn't snap. Yay! And my thread snapped.
Sounds good.
So we'll just attach the thread if everything doesn't unwind. And before it gets a chance to unwind and unravel, I'm just going to put a pair of hemostats on there and let it dangle. And that will prevent everything from that I've done unraveling. And now that I've got this knot fixed out of here, I will put my thread in through my bobbin. Then you can just feed it through like that. And then I'll just twist it down to the level it was at. Beautiful. Now we'll just reattach it. And we'll work our way down. And we'll go down to where it was. And now we can just take our scissors and cut those two little tag pieces out of there because we don't need them. So that's a little fix for you guys. If you ever snap your thread, you can just grab the end real quick before it completely unravels. Take a pair of tiny hemostats, put it on, and away you go. So now let's try this again, and hopefully it doesn't snap again. As you can see, I'll just tie all that stuff down. And it just adds a little bit of extra weight into the flies so that when I'm tying the metallic ribbon, it'll be solid in there. And the next thing we're going to do is I want to put a little bit of sparkle in the tail, a little bit of flash material. So where is my flash material? So Temu has tons and tons and tons and tons of flash materials. And for me, I'd rather buy it on Temu than buy it at the local fishing shops. And the reason for that is because unfortunately the local fishing shops want $7 for one of these packages, whereas Temu wants $1. So I'm a save money wherever you can kind of guy. And I do like to support our local fly shops, but unfortunately, if they're selling stuff at such a high price, then I can't support them, unfortunately. I go in there and look around, but if I have to go somewhere else to buy it, I will. Okay, so I'll take my crystal flash and I'll bend it into a loop like this, and then I'll take the two end pieces and I will tie it in just on one side, like so. Do a few good wraps, and then I'll measure it to the tail and give it a bit of a snip. And then I will add this part in here on the other side. Same process. Measure it to the tail, give it a little snip. Snippity doo dah right there. Beautiful. Then I can put my material aside. All right. And what I like to do is, as you've seen, I already snapped my thread once. I like to take my two fingers and do a half hitch. And I'll put two of those in. And now if I should happen to snap my thread, all I have to do is reattach my line and all the materials will stay put. So for this next step, I'm going to put my thread up to the eye of the hook, like so. And I'm going to take my black foam, which I previously cut. So I'm using a 1 millimeter black craft foam. All right. And for this fly, I'm going to measure it in centimeters, not inches. You want it to be 1/2 centimeter. So 5 millimeters is the width you want to cut that. And what we're going to do is we're going to tie it in with the short end going to the tail. So you want to line that up with the tail. And then pretty much you're just going to tie it in so it won't move. And then you want to just tie it up to the eye. So see, you want to make sure your eye is available so you can put your next connector piece in there. And then we're going to work our way down. Oh, and see, I snapped the hook or snapped the thread. So I'm lucky that it snapped in a way that I don't have to reset. So I can just tie it back in. Now you're going to probably wonder why this thread keeps snapping, this particular one. Because when I opened it originally from the package, there's like a clear sealing on it, like a cellophane. And I had to use my my little picking tool to open it. And what happened is, as I was working my way along, I nicked in a couple of places along the thing. I nicked it with this. And every time I reach a point where I nicked it, it snaps. And I'm hoping, I've used it for a couple of weeks now. I'm hoping that any time now it'll stop snapping every time it reaches one of those nick points. But you never know. It's funny stuff. And it's expensive too. So I try to be very careful with my threads, but I know you guys can't see it on camera, but see, here's a nick point here. So I'm expecting that it's almost going to snap there. But what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to do a 1/2 inch, tie it in. So at least this won't start unraveling when I start to add the next part in there. Okay, so I need a ribbon. Of course, my ribbons are buried. So I'm going to use this. So this is, like a Christmas wrapping paper, and it's red on one side and that nice metallic silver. Hey, Cindy's in the house. How's it going, Cindy?
Skipjack Cindy.
Skipjack Cindy. If you haven't seen Skipjack stuff, go check her out. She's got a pretty fun. It's always a party on Skipjack Cindy's channel. So I'm going to use a slice of this silver as the body. So I'm just going to cut this all the way up. I have some in my ribbon dish, but it's buried in my closet, and I don't want to waste time to dig it out. So I'm just going to use a slice of that. All right. So I got a really long piece of that. So hopefully that's going to make it through the whole fly now.
Fishing? Yo.
Hey, Scotty B's in the house. What's up? All the cool people are showing up now. The awesome people are showing up. Awesome. I love you guys. My favorite fans. It's been really cool hanging out with you guys over the last couple of weeks. I've been checking out pretty much everybody I can. I've been checking out their live streams, and yeah, there's just some really cool people out in the fishing community. And I just gotta say, I love you guys. You guys are super, super awesome. So if you haven't checked out Scotty's channel or Cindy's channel, go check them out. Always a good time. Always a good time. So we're going to tie in this piece of material like so. Now this stuff you want to be a little bit careful when you tie it in because it is a little bit, this thread can cut it. So you have to be a little gentle when you start winding it on. I have snapped it. Once it's in, it's good, but when you start wrapping it on, it's a little bit tricky. So I'm just going to wrap that on with overlapping wraps until I get to the end. And I'm going to try very carefully not to snap it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap my thread around and I'm going to pull it gently up to the front. And then I'm going to tie it in like so with 2 wraps. And then I'm going to cut off the excess so it's out of my way. And then I'm going to tie it down like so. Beautiful. So it's looking good. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take my thread and I'm going to, with wide loops, I'm going to go from the front.
Scott says he's got to finish up at work and then get out of here and he'll check back in.
All right, Scotty.
That was nice.
Scotty B. Well, we'll be here for a little bit, Scotty. This is one of the longer flies to make, so we'll be here for a bit for sure. All right, so then we're gonna leave our thread down at the end, and then we're gonna take our fun foam and we're gonna fold it over, and we're gonna pull it to the back, and you're just gonna put a little bit of a stretch in it, but not too much of a stretch, because the more you stretch it, the more it compresses those little air cells in the foam. And you want this fly to be able to, like, as you're retrieving it, you want it to dive and wiggle, but then you want it to be able to come back to the surface when you're not retrieving it. Often that's when I get a fish to bite. So when I wiggle this, it starts to dive because of the lip, the plastic lip. It'll dive below the surface, and then when I get it, like the fish will be chasing it, and when I stop and it starts to float up to the top, that's when the fish usually hits it. So yeah, and then when you tie in this fun foam, you want to be kind of careful because this thread can cut your fun foam. But if you just put, like, I don't even know how to say it. There's like loose wraps. You want them to be loose, but you want them to be tight enough to hold the material. And that's something that, regardless of how I explain it, you're just going to have to experiment with that. So if you ever get into tying your own flies, that'll be just something you have to do a few times to get the idea. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my Dr. Schlicks, and I've got the rounded ones, and I'm going to just cut this foam off round and leave just a little bit of a tag piece like that. All right. And then I can take my thread, take my 2 fingers, put them on my thread, twist them once, twice, and those are called half hitch knots. And then when you slide it, it ties it in. And I usually do, I don't know, 3 or 4 of those, and it ties it nice and tight. So now that's really in there nice and tight. So that is not going to go anywhere. So I'm going to trim off my thread like so. And this is going to be the tail now of our wiggle minnow. So the next thing I'm going to do is grab that rest of that Christmas wire that I had and my looping pliers, and I'm going to make the next body segment. So this one we just did straight, but this one we're going to put a loop on both ends. So what you're going to do is, and then you can decide how long you want it. So I'm gonna put the middle loop. I'm gonna do a little bit short, and then the last one will be long. So I'm gonna measure it a little bit shorter than the one we have. So I'm gonna put the piece in, twist it left, twist it right, and then I'll just make sure it's straight. So I'll just straighten it up. So you got that. Now I want the other loop. So instead of going this way, I want the loop to go this way. So I'm going to go to the end, put it in my looping pliers, and twist it, and then do the same thing, left and right. And then see, so you'll have a loop that connects this way, and then it makes the next loop for the last piece to connect to your fly. So I'm going to give that a little bit of a snip. And I drop my wire in the garbage, which I did not want to do. And I'm not going to go fishing for it now.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. Don't like to fish in the garbage. All right. So now I'm going to put that loop. I'm going to slide. I just open that up, slide it through, and see, that's where the spine connects there now. So now that's going to be wiggly, wiggly, wiggly. So I'm going to take my magnet. I've got a little neopladium magnet. And basically what that's going to do is going to hold that tail piece in place so that it doesn't flip up. And then I can take and I can attach it on. Yeah, this is a good fly. I've caught a lot of fish on this fly over the years. And I'm going to be putting it in the Jody's fly box. And then one of my beautiful viewers can win that Jody's fly box. This will be fly number 4 in the Jody's fly box. So when I reach 1,000 subscribers, somebody gonna win a Jody's fly box. I don't know who, but somebody. Okay. So now we're gonna repeat. Other than the tail, the feather tail, we're gonna repeat the next 2 steps. So we're gonna take our foam. We're gonna pinch it onto our link. And then we're going to do 2 wraps. Make sure that your next little eye hole there is free because you want to be able to put the last piece in. And then we're going to go down to tie our thread down to the end. And we'll just kind of smooth it out anywhere that's bubbly. Just like that. Beautiful. And then we will take our material, our silver metal material, our wrapping, gift wrapping, and we'll tie it in with the silver side down and the red side up. And again, as you tie this in, you want to just make it tight enough to hold it in, but not so tight that it cuts it off, because this little metallic gift bag here will cut through with that. And because of the width of this, we don't really need to wrap it far. So what we'll do, we'll just do 2 or 3 wraps to make it a little thicker, and then we'll take our thread, pull it up to the top, and then we'll hold our ribbon, tie it down. We'll do 2 or 3 loops of thread, and then we can trim it off. I've got my headphones attached to my desk here, so every time I grab a tool, knocks my headphones around. So I'm going to cut the thread off nice and even, like that. And just so nothing unravels, I'm going to put 2 half-hitch knots right here so that if my thread for any reason should snap, the work I just did does not get lost with it. And then I'm going to, just like that part, the tail section, I'm going to do 2 or 3 wide wraps through till I get to the end, like so. And then I'm able to take my foam, fold it over to the end, pull it a little snug, do 4 or 5 gentle loops. And then, of course, I will lock it off so that if anything snaps, we don't lose that. Oh, see? I called that. It snapped. Woo! I got lucky on that one. So I guess I'll trim that first. Like that. And then I will cut another rounded piece of foam at the end. Like so. All right. Then I can take it out of the vise. And as you can see, it's starting to form that beautiful wiggly body. And when you pull that through the water, it acts just like a normal Rapella does. So let's put that there. And I'll get another piece of Christmas tree hook. So let's try and find one that will come out. The only thing with these dang hooks is they hook so good that it's hard to get them out. Sometimes I have to play with it for a while, which can be a little bit annoying. What did I drop there? Okay. I'm good. I got it. All right. So for this final piece, we're going to make the same kind of a loop as we did on the first. So instead of making the double loop, we're going to actually just make one loop. Like so. And we'll do probably about 1 centimeter long. And then we'll get our pliers, give that a little bit of a snip. And then we'll put our other piece on. We'll just leave that stuck there for a minute. And then we're going to pick a hook for the front. And I'm going to use this metal hook. It's the same kind of hook, straight hook as the tail, but it's a little bigger. And I will tell you in a second how big that is. That is a size 4 straight hook. It's always good to have a hook gauge. I've got so many hooks. If I didn't have my hook gauge, I'd never be able to tell you guys what size hooks I use. And granted, once you know how to tie these materials into a fly, you guys can upsize that, downsize that. You know, you can use bigger hooks, smaller hooks. If you guys live in an area where there's way bigger fish or smaller fish, like I got some little tiny wigglers, I got some big wigglers. Like I've done them in every size. Like if you're going for pike or something bigger, you can always make them quite large. So anyways, this part now, we're going to tie onto our hook. But before we do that, like I said, I don't like my hooks bent like this. I wish they didn't come bent like that. Now I know you can buy them like that. You can buy them straight. I try to buy them straight if I can. But I just gently use a little bit of pressure and I straighten it up. I like it to be straight. I just find the action is mostly better. Now there are some flies where I'll need to bend the hook. Like sometimes it is good to have that, but majority of my flies, I will always straighten the hook. And then if I need to, I can always add make the eye of the hole bigger. Like if that would have snapped off there, I would have just taken a piece just like that I'm going to attach and just attached it on, and it would have become the new eye of the hook. And is a little bigger than the eye of the hook actually is. So if you have hard time seeing or vision problems or whatever, it's actually good. Or if you have like dexterity problems with your hands, and as we all get older, we all have that problems, right? That we get a little bit less dexterity as we go on, right? So it actually helps so that you can actually tie your line on better later in the end. So that's just a little tip that I use, and sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. It depends on the fly. I'm crazy like that. So since I snapped or cut my thread off and it went through my tool, then I gotta reapply it. And I'm gonna start right here under the eye. I'm gonna apply my thread. I'm gonna put down a base of thread, which will allow everything to tie nicely on and hold nicely together. I'll just move that out of the way for a second. All right. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece here and I'm going to have it up and down so that everything is lined up straight. And I want this just to hang over the bend of the hook just a little bit, like just clear the circle part past the bend of the hook. And that's where you want to tie it in. And when you tie these end pieces in, you want to try to avoid touching that little sharp edge with your thread because it will cut it. So as you tie it up and down, be cautious of that. And also, when you're tying past the point of your hook, you want to take a little bit of time going in there and try not to rub that, because if you nick your thread, it's gonna snap. So I always take my time, making sure everything is tied in there. Try not to nick my thread. And then for these end pieces, you definitely want to do a little bit of crazy glue. So whenever you use crazy glue, nail polishes, UV resins, or any of those beautiful things, always lift up your bobbin. And I have a bobbin cradle, which just sticks on the shank of my vise, which just holds my cradle like that, out of the way. I just get this at Walmart. This is just a hanger that they hang clothes with. And usually when they say, "Do you want it?" I go, "Yeah, I do." And I've given a whole bunch to people I know. So always make sure, if you're not either to hold it or put it in your bobbin catcher, because if you don't and you drop a bit of glue in your threads, you're spending a lot of money on threads, because one drop of glue will completely destroy a whole thing of thread. And these days, if you're paying $6-7 for some thread, you don't want to waste any of it. And then once I put a bead of glue down, I'll do a few more wraps over it as it dries, just to seal that in nice and tight, like so. Beautiful. And then when I come to that point where the sharp part is, I just wrap past it and try not to touch it, because again, you don't want to nick your thread and then have to start all over again. Whitney's in the house. Hey, Whitney, what's going on? All the cool people are visiting me today. The Mod Squad. The Mod Squad. Yes. Okay, so Now we need a piece of plastic. And let me see where I have my plastics. Okay. So when I bought my new fly rod, it came in a plastic box. And that plastic was just the right thickness for making the little lips on these flies. It's just perfect for that because it had just the right kind of stiffness and the right amount of flex. So now I'm going to show you guys how to put the lip on these flies. And these flies are incredible. I don't know. I fished them a lot, and I catch a lot of fish on there. So for this lip, for this fly, I want it to be, so if I take my flat pliers and I put it in, I want that lip to be that wide in the center and then almost the same on the side, just a couple millimeters shorter. So you're going to need to make it basically twice the size of this. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't always make sense. You guys know that. You've been chatting with me for a while now. So when I hold it onto here, I eyeball it so that to there, to the edge, and then the center, and then I go, and then I'll fold it there so that I know, and I'll put a little edge there so I know. And then when I cut it, I can match it up with that, and then I'll cut that strip. And the good thing is it'll be long enough that I can do 2 or 3 flies like that. So I won't have to measure this all the way up. So that's good. So now I can take my plastic and I'll put that aside. And if you're cutting plastics, make sure to use a designated cutting scissors for plastics, because once you start cutting plastics with a pair of scissors, they're going to be too dull to be cutting feathers and furs and trimming lines and stuff, and you're going to start making a mess. So always have one for plastics, and you'll be very happy that you did that. So for this particular fly, to make it dive really nicely, we're going to line this up with this one, and I'm going to tell you how long you need it to be. You need it to be, oh, and you're going to need so you're going to need the length of the beak or the bill, and then another yeah, and then you're going to need another 0.5 centimeter to attach onto the body. So basically the entire thing is going to be about 2.5 centimeters. So now that you've got your plastic like this, you can measure it 2.5 centimeters. And just for safety measure, I'm going to say 3 centimeters, because you can always cut off what you don't need, but you can't put back what you don't have. So we're going to do 3 centimeters like so and cut it off. And then we're going to go back to our flat pliers, put that piece in, and we're going to fold it up along its sides. So you have basically a clear staple. If you look at it like that, you know, the staples coming out of the staple, you're going to have like a little clear staple like that. And then I'm just going to eyeball it, but I can tell you I know. So it's going to be 5 millimeters here, and it's going to be 2 centimeters here. So your bill is 2 centimeters, and then the part that's going to attach onto your hook is going to be 3 millimeters. Okay, now, so we got it. Now we flattened it out again, but the lines are there to show you where to cut. So see this line here and here? We want to cut it to the middle, but we don't want to just to this first line here and this first line here. Everybody's so quiet in the chat. Why are you guys always so quiet? We're all friends here. You know that. All right. So I cut my 2 little slits. And then what I'm going to do, I got to try and stay in focus so I don't lose you guys. All right. So I'm going to cut it on a little triangle on there and there. And then I'll flip it over and cut it on a triangle there and there. All right. And then on the part that's going to be our bill, we're just going to cut it down on an angle there and there. All right. So it's looking good. It's looking really good. And then what's going to happen is we're going to fold this so that it makes a little trough around that we can tie our thread on. So let me take my pliers. And just on the part that we're going to tie in the hook, we want to fold it. And it can be a little fidgety. But we're going to fold it so that it makes a little trough like that. All right. And then what we're going to do is take our handy dandy scissors and see we've got, you don't want that whole thing sticking up there because that's just going to really mess up your fly. So you want to cut it kind of short like this. And then when we cut it, we might have to separate it a little bit. And we'll just use our pliers again. We'll just get our pliers in there and separate it a little bit. This shirt is super slidey. If I put a tool hanging on my lap or whatever, it slides right to the ground every time. All right. So now what we're going to do, we're going to slide that in there like so. And you want to make sure that the eye of your hook is hanging over your lip because you want to be able to tie that in there. All right. So you're going to go a couple, maybe a millimeter or so past there, and then you're going to start tying in your plastic, and almost guaranteed you're going to snap your thread. I cannot tell you how many times I have snapped my thread doing this. A lot. So I usually put a couple of wraps on, and then again, because I know it's going to probably snap somewhere along here, I will just do a tie down so that if it ties down, I don't have to start all over again. And for this particular fly, you're going to be pretty excessive with your thread. You're going to put a lot of thread into it, but it is so worth it to put the thread into this fly because this fly is really good. And you can just bend your lip in a little bit to give it shape. And at this point, I'm going to move my thread out of the way, and I'm going to put some crazy glue in there, like so. And this is just going to lock everything nice and solidly in there. And you're not going to have to worry about that coming off in any way, shape, or form. And then I'll just keep adding some thread while that dries. And if you need to adjust it, now's the time to do that while it's drying so that it sits nice and flat. And now you got a bill on your fly. And this is really, really, really cool fly. So we are going to take our foam, and I used up all, I don't have enough to do one more loop, a really big loop. So I'm going to measure up my foam onto my big foam. And I'm just going to cut a little slit so I know how wide that is. Like that. And then I can cut another strip of foam. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And now I'm going to do the same as I did with those pieces. I'm going to hold it to the end, just where the loops are. Pinch it down, and I will do a couple of loops, and I'll bring it up to just where the bill touches the eye, and I will make sure that this foam, I'll fold it over and make sure it doesn't cover up that eye, because later on you need that free to tie your line on when you're fishing. And then I'll work my foam down to the back like so. Beautiful. And as you see, with all this extra mechanics, it kind of give it a naturally nice taper from the back to the front. So it kind of gives it that bulk like an actual minnow would have, right? So that is good. And then we're going to take our piece of ribbon. Where did our ribbon go? Uh-oh. Oh, here it is. Woo! Nothing like losing your materials. So we're going to take our ribbon again, and we're going to tie it down, starting at the head, red, in this case, red side up, because we're using the gift bag, or the wrapping paper, the metallic wrapping paper. We're going to go to the end, and we're going to work our way up to the top. And then we're going to just give that a little fold so it'll start to tie, like so. So you can pull it tight, but don't pull it so tight that you rip your wrapping paper or your ribbon. It's always, if you have a silver ribbon, it's a little better because it's a little stronger material. But like I said, I didn't dig any of that out, which is okay because this works just as good. Okay, so now once you get to the end, you're going to take your thread, gently pull it up, catching that paper. Then we can trim off the paper or the ribbon. Then you can tie it in. Okay, so for this part, what we're going to do is get I've got some red dubbin here, and we are going to just finger dub some red dubbin on here. And this is going to do a couple of things. One, it's going to give you a place to put your eyes onto. And two, it's going to look like the gills of our fish. Right? So it'll be able to attach nicely on there, and it'll look like the gills of the fish, and it'll make a little hot spot. And those fish love that little hot spot. When you put that in there, it just drives them crazy. So we're going to finger dub some of that nice dubbing on there, like so. Remember, everybody, if you haven't liked, shared, and subscribed, I would greatly appreciate it. It does help out the channel. So if you're watching this now during the live, or if you're watching us later, please feel free to do that if you're enjoying the content. If you like hanging out with me and some of these other amazing people, it would be greatly appreciated. Okay, so now we have our little hotspot / gill plate, and now we're going to run the thread in wide turns down to the back, just to the bend of the hook, right where that eyepiece is. And then we can take our foam, pull it over, give it a very tiny stretch, just enough to give it the shape that we need, and we'll tie it in. but don't pull it so hard that you compress the air pockets in the foam, because if you do that, then this fly is just going to be a complete sinker. And really the way I designed it was to be, when I'm retrieving it, it does go down about, well, I'll tell you how far it goes down. Probably about 5 inches, 6 inches. It'll go 5 or 6 inches under the water, and then when you stop retrieving, it's going to slowly come back up to the surface. So it's a very, very effective fly. So once you get to this part, I'm just going to take your Dr. Schlicks and cut the last end piece round. And then I'm going to just take my fingers, do a couple of half-inch fingers, dubbins. If you at this point want to use your whip finisher, feel free. I hardly ever use my whip finisher. I actually find it a hindrance, to be honest. There's very few times I use it. So then when you get to this point, give it a snip. The funny thing is, I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 whip finishers. I never use any of them. I mean, if you want to, if you need to. I mean, I can use them, but like when I do demonstrations, I show people I can do it. I just show off. Yeah, I know all my tools, but they just get in my way. Okay, so now I'm going to take this out of the vise. As you can see, got a really nice wiggly minnow with a nice lip. And I just want to make sure that that piece I cut was not hindering my other piece. If it was, then I would have just given it a tiny little trim. But as long as they're not interfering, then it's good. I'm just going to pop that back in a vise. And what I'm going to do now is take my Google Eyes. And it doesn't matter what Google Eyes you use. You can use bigger ones or smaller ones. I have every kind of Google Eye you can imagine. Ginormous ones, tiny, tiny, tiny ones. For this one, I'm going to use kind of a medium-sized Google Eye. And it's going to make that really, really googly. So how I'm going to attach that, there's 2 ways you can do this. You can do this with UV resin, or you can use it with crazy glue, or you can do a combination of both. And I'm actually going to do a combination of both. So basically, I'm going to put a fairly decent dab of crazy glue here. And I'm going to put the eye on, hold it for a couple of seconds. So that's stuck on there. And then I'm going to flip her over, put another good dab of crazy glue, take my eye, hold it on there. Hold them for a couple of seconds, make sure they're stuck. Now that'll stick on there. And if you fish that, it'll stick on there for, it could be your one whole trip out, but usually by the end of a trip, you're going to lose a Google Eye with crazy glue alone. This is why I have got some UV resin. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some UV resin. I'm going to fill it in around. I'm just going to go around the trim of the eye like so. And then I'm going to go underneath a little bit into that red. And I'm going to do both sides at once while I'm under here. And I'm going to go around the top here. And basically, what you're doing here is just making sure that those Google Eyes are pretty much not coming off that fly. So now I'll take my light. I will put it on to the fly. If you've never used UV resin, be very careful. Not to stare directly into your light. You will blind yourself. and do damage to your eyes. Second thing, do not lean in too close to your UV resins, because if you're inhaling a lot of that, it will be doing lung damage to you. So if you're ever using UV resins or nail or anything, nail polishes, all that, be very, very safe. Uh, they can be a little damaged. So open up a door, use them in a garage, use them in a well ventilated area. Uh, Whenever you're using nail polishes or UV resins or any kind of resins or things like that. And we just want to keep the torch on them just long enough to make sure that that UV resin dries, which it has. Beautiful. All right. So this fly is looking pretty darn good. Now, at this point, you can do one more thing if you so choose. It depends on you. If you see this fly looks just a little bit darker than that fly, is because I took some nail polish, some black nail polish, and I went over it. Now, you don't have to do this. That is completely up to you. You can fish it the way it was, and it absolutely going to put fish on the line for you. 100%. 100%. But if you just want to give it that extra little bit of shine, that extra little blackness in there, then it will help as well. Again, not needed, but that definitely doesn't hurt. So if you have some, you want to put it on, then you can do that. All right, and then we'll just leave that to dry. The good thing about the black, for some reason this LA Colors Color Crazed, this brand dries super quick. It does have a bit of an odor, but it dries really good. And there we have it. This fly is super good. I never leave home without it. Good for trout, good for bass, good for perch and crappies and other panfish. I've caught such a wide variety of fish on this fly. Definitely a good one. And we're gonna put it into, when it dries, I would show you me putting it in there, but you'll see it on the next thing. I can't put it right now because I don't want to put it in there wet, but I am going to put it aside so that it can just air dry there. And you definitely will get one of these into Jody's fly box. So whoever wins this is going to get that fly. Yes, you are. And if you look on the corner up in the screen, you'll see these names scrolling across: Cool Cat, Ted LaFontaine, Paul Outdoors, Bambi Clouser, our girl Whitney, Solo Texan Adventures, Release the Grease. Those are the names of people who already have their name into the draw for the Jody's Fly Box. And if you don't know how you're gonna get that, is when I show my logo up in the corner, just below my vise here, of the Jody's Fly Box. If you're the first to write, I want a Jody's Fly Box, in the comments, and I see that, you will be the person who gets your name in the draw. And the other thing is, you can have your name in the draw multiple times. So as long as you're the first to do it, if you've been watching me for a while, or if you start watching me, I know I haven't been live streaming all that long, but if you start watching me for my regular live streams, you could get your name in the draw a bunch of times. And obviously, the more tickets you have in the draw, the better chance you're to win. And of course, it's absolutely free. And I'm gonna throw that logo up right now. So if you put, I want one of those, I want a Jody's Fly Box, and I see it, you'll get your name in the draw. So that's kind of a new thing, and it's gonna be free to enter. You just have to write your name, and when the time comes, whoever's name I draw, they're gonna get a Jody's Fly box. So, but we have to reach 1,000 subscribers, and we have not done that yet. So we are only at 77 as of my last checking. We I'll have to check after to see if there's more. I will constantly be updating it, how many subscribers I have. But yeah, when we get to 1,000, one of you lovely, lovely, lovely fans out there is going to win a Jody's Fly box. And there could be a lot of flies. Depending on how long it takes to get to 1,000, there could be a lot of flies in there. But I'll tell you, all the ones that are in there are going to be great. So another fly that will be added in there will be this fly. I tied this on my first live stream before I went official. I did not go official, and I wasn't doing I didn't start the contest then, but I am going to add this as a bonus fly to that because I have got like 53 people watched that first live stream. So as a bonus, I'm going to put this one in with the other one. So you'll have like a goldfishy one. This is like the top of the line here. This fly catches me fish, and fish come up from the deep to get this one. So one of you, actually, you know what? I'll put it in there right now. Where did I put the fly box? Right here. So one of you lovely people are going to get this in there right now. I'm going to put it in there. I love these little boxes. I spent 2 days designing these. So these are the flies already you could win. There's a nice popper. Can't see them? Can you see them? So there's a nice popper in there. There's a nice spring wiggler mayfly in there, and a carp worm. Those are all fantastic, fantastic flies. And now I'm not going to be able to hook it in. So it's just going to have to lie in there because it's a bit of a bigger fly. So that's just going to lie in there. So now you're going to get that guy as well. So good luck to everybody. I wish you all the best of luck. And I can't wait not only to have 1,000 subscribers. I mean, that would be really cool. If 1,000 people are watching me, that'll be super cool. But also to just give somebody a fly box will be really super, super fantastic. And since I'm showing you stuff, you can do those in any colors. So here's a pink one with a metallic pink belly.
That's a nice one.
So that's the pink and white is another good color. What else do we got in here? I did like a bassy color one. So here's like a bass colored one. So white and green.
Nice.
Yeah. So all kinds of colors. This one's a good one. The orange or the red head with the yellow, with the red tail and the gold body. This is a very effective one. So lots of different variations. Oh, and of course, the very classic, very, very classic. This one, the white with the red. Very, very classic colors. This is very fish catchy colors. And then for fun, I did this little skeleton one with the fish skeleton. so these are all really fun. Oh, and of course, the gray with the silver.
Mm-hmm.
So like this is a really minnowy color, gray with the silver. So these are all fantastic flies. So happy to give them. So as you can see, this one's pretty much dry. It's just a little tacky yet, but this will be the one that goes into the fly box. I'm gonna take my logo down. Nobody wrote they wanted it. Nobody's name's going in the draw yet. Ha ha ha. All right. What time is it? Oh, it's 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. I think I'm gonna go have some dinner with the beautiful Mrs. Superfly. What do you think, Miss Superfly? You hungry?
Sure.
She's just giggling because she knows. Oh, it's me who's gonna make it, right? The Mrs. Superfly is the best cook, so she feeds me very well. So I am always pleasantly fed with the Mrs. Superfly. So yes, yes, yes. Um, so yeah, if you see that logo, put your name in there. Say I want a Jody's Fly Box. The first name that I see whenever that pops up while the logo's up, I will definitely give the, get your name in the draw, and I will be popping that up a couple times during every live stream to give everybody a chance. Uh, I want everybody to have a good chance to get in. I apologize for the blurriness of my face. It's probably a good thing for you guys. But my fly tying camera,
It's not blurry.
it's blurry.
Not
It could
on
be.
my tablet.
Well, then you're lucky. But because it could be, because it's set to be able to see those flies up close, I can't adjust it during the live stream, unfortunately. So I have two different cameras. I have one that's adjusted for fly tying and one that's made for everything else in puppetry.
Okay.
So unfortunately, when I do the live streams, you guys get the blurry Jody. But yeah. So there's that logo for the fly box, and then there's the shout out lower. The shout out. Where's that one? Where do I have that? Hang on now. Yes, this one right here. So if you see the Grampy in the corner, shout out time, and you are the first to put your name in the comments saying, I want a shout out while that logo is up, then Grampy will shout you out. So if you have not got a shout out, now some of the great people in here today have gotten shout outs, like R2G got a shout out, Whitney got a shout out, Bambi got a shout out. Who else got a? Ted got one. Solo got one. So if you want a shout out, just be the first to, when you see this little logo, I want a shout out, and Grampy is going to shout you out, and it'll go on both my channels. So it'll go on my Superflies channel, which you're watching right now, and it'll go on my Laugh Out Loud Puppets channel. So you could be famous on both my channels. So if you're the first to see that logo, then hit that and say, I want a shout out. And the last logo that I made, but you can't really win anything, but this is just to acknowledge you guys, is the best fans ever logo, which is right there. You guys are the best fans ever, and I really, really appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Anybody watching now, anybody who's going to watch later, like I said, the last live stream I did, 88 people watched it as of the time that I started making this. So if you're one of those 88, bless you. Thank you so much. Greatly, greatly appreciated. And if you're future watching, if you're going to watch it again, or if you're new to the channel, absolutely, I would appreciate that you watch, and I appreciate that you're here checking me out. And you guys are amazing. Let me just change this camera angle just a little bit so I don't keep bumping into my logos. What? You guys got to tell me these things. Miss Superfly, are you falling asleep there? You got to say, honey, you're bumping into your logos.
It looks nice on my tablet.
Okay.
You look nice.
Okay. You guys like the logos? Let me know in the comments if you like the. I spent a week building all these different logos, making sure the counter works nice, designing everything. So if you have any thoughts or comments about it, let me know. If you have any ideas, let me know. I like to be a little bit creative. Yeah.
You're a creative guy.
I'm a creative guy. Also, if you notice in the corner, again, not pushing anything on anybody, but if you notice in the corner, the little Jesus, and it says, everybody needs a little Jesus. Me and the Mrs. Superfly, we are followers of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And we just think everybody could use a little Jesus. But we're not going to push on you, but we definitely mention him in every one because without him, there's nothing. So he's our everything. So just a little shout out to Jesus. So, and anybody who's a believer, you know what I'm talking about. So, anyways, guys, we love you. Thank you for another. This was a bit of a shorter live stream. Our regularly scheduled live streams are Sunday evenings, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's the time zone we are in, Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. So, if you guys want to see us on a regular basis, we will be there. Just as a reminder, it's in the community tab. I've opened up the community tab. So if you guys catch any fish, post it up in the community tab. If you tie any flies or try any of these patterns that I show you, post it up in the community tab. If you tie your own flies, post it up in the community tab. We'd love to see, if you have any thoughts and things, if you have any comments, extra comments, put them up in the community tab. That's why I opened it up, because you know what? It's no fun tying flies alone and being alone, and that's why I want to build a community of people. And if you don't tie flies, I won't hold that against you. We still love you. Any kind of fishing you do, we except for snagging. If you're snagging, I don't really love that. So, I mean, keep that to yourself. Don't share that. I'm not going to be a fan of that. But anything out, bait, downriggers, whatever other ways you fish, put it up, show us, and let's talk about it. I mean, we don't just have to talk about flies. I love tying flies. I'm gonna be mostly a fly guy, showing my flies and stuff. So, and for anybody who didn't hear or hasn't heard yet, I got out fishing yesterday with the beautiful Miss Superfly for the first time this year. The ice is off the lake now. Praise Jesus. And we got out. And I had a couple of nibbles, and I got one on the fly. It was on for about 30 seconds and it got off. It's off me yet this year, but I'm very much closer. So all of you who've been praying for me or wishing that I get out of my loopy state, thank you so much, because I was able to get out. So usually once the ice is off, it only gets better and better every time I go out. So, and it was so cold yesterday, guys. It was so cold. We got up there, me and the Miss Superfly were dressed up. We had our gloves on. We had everything, our coats, our earmuffs, everything on. We were dressed pretty warm. Like, we were warm, but it was cold out. So we didn't stay all that long. I think we were an hour up there at the lake, and then we were like, nah, we can't do it no more. So, but anyways, we're closer, guys. So follow along to hear all the epic stories and when the fish start to get going. Super, super cool. Super, super cool. So again, thanks to all our fans, our super fans. Like, share, and subscribe. Watch one of our videos all the way through and leave a comment. It'll help your subscription stick. And throughout the week, we'll try to do a couple of live streams if we can. With me being a puppeteer and a fly tyer and all that, things get a little hectic. And I'm also a big fisherman, so as the weather gets nicer, I'll be doing more of that. So, but I try and pop in whenever I can. If me and Mrs. Super are sitting around, we're like, hey, let's see who's watching. So, all right, guys. And I'm a babbler, so I get babbling on. So you guys know that. So if you're watching, I appreciate that you put up with the babbling. So, but I'm gonna cut it there. Gonna go eat some lovely food. And thank you guys so much for everybody who showed up. And we will catch you on the next one. And remember, hit that like and subscribe button. I want to give away a fly box. So, all right, guys. Love you. And we'll catch you on the next one.